Hello there and welcome back to another video. Now, it has been a while and I have missed making videos for every single one of you that does watch these videos. So I do miss you all and I hope that you've been doing well since the last time we spoke, or I spoke, and you guys watched and communicated with me. Hope you guys are doing really well. It's been the international break and it was boring. One of the only times during the international break, no matter what football has been played, I haven't watched any of it, because I'm just not interested in international football. I'm not interested in the England team. I'm just not. And some people don't like that. That's fine. That's totally cool. I'm a Liverpool fan. I'm not an England fan. And that sounds so cliche to say, but it's just not exciting to watch. It really isn't. It's not something that I think of, right, let's watch the England team and all this sort of stuff. And it's just not for me. You know, maybe when the tournaments and stuff comes round, then fair play, might get into it a little bit then. But other than that, nothing really inspiring. So that is what I have been doing, a whole lot of nothing. Apart from watching a lot of Justice League and stuff like that anyway, the new release. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So I do wish you all very well. What we're going to talk about today is breaking news that has come out today. Came out about I think maybe about an hour or so ago, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. I'm recording this at 1:25 on Monday afternoon, just after I finished work, and it was all pretty much just on my phone when I'm on the bus home, and I'm like, right, let's break this down as best as we can, okay? Now, this is how, pretty much, similar sort of way that I found out what was actually happening here. Liverpool are interested in Ibrahima Konate, as David Ornstein reported today. He's one of the targets in Liverpool centre-backs list, but it's not done signed yet. RB Leipzig want full €40 million release clause to sell him. Talks are ongoing on personal terms until June 2026. So, what I would take from this is that is definitely our interest, registered fully, 100% registered in Konate. Liverpool are obviously going to be pursuing another centre-back, a brand new centre-back, regardless of what happens with Ozan Kabak this summer as well, whether we decide to turn that loan into a full permanent move, which in my opinion, I think we should. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think that Kabak should be a full-time Liverpool player from next season. That's my opinion. I think that it is an absolute steal, and I feel that the improvements that Kabak has made as a player at Liverpool already, as a young player, that could only get better, in my opinion. And the price, can't remember exactly what it was, but if you know the sort of price that I think that we not an obligation to buy, but you have the ability to buy if we wanted to at the end of Kabak's loan. I think it's a no-brainer in my opinion, but I'll get into that a little bit later on in a bit more detail. So that is how I found out about what was going on, and then there was something else, and I'm not entirely sure where I put it. Might have to just keep going in and looking at this thread here. This thread is very important, right? This thread is very important, obviously, pretty much as you can see in capitals already. I haven't actually read through the entire thread because I wanted to actually read it through with you guys as well. So what we're going to look through here is understanding Ibrahima Konate's injury record, and I'll get transfer marked up in just a second. In fact, actually, let's go visit there right now. So what we're going to look at here is his injury history. Now, you can just take into account here 1 game, 27 games missed, 3 games missed, 6 games missed, 9 games missed here. Doesn't sound like a great deal, but then when you look at the amount of days that he's missed along this column here, this column right there, 225 days by a torn muscle fiber, 14 days, 96 days, 49 days. They all accumulate, but obviously he's got some pretty big misses here. What I'm getting at with this one is the fact that a lot of people are already just going, Konate, he's got a massive injury record. He's got a huge injury record. And I'll be totally straight up honest with you at 100%. That's exactly what I thought. As soon as I saw that Liverpool were linked with and in deep talks with signing Konate from RB Leipzig, my first thought was, hasn't that guy got a horrendous injury record? Is that really what we need to be going into? Now, let's go back to this thread that we've got here. So since the Ornstein, let's go with it, story broke that Liverpool are close to signing him, fans are debating whether this is a good move given the 21-year-old's injury record. So I think she actually does go into a little bit of transfer marked here. People are sharing the transfer marked image as proof that Konate is injury prone. On face value, it looks pretty bad, with the centre back having 8 separate entries since 2017-18 season. However, only 5 of those have resulted in missing any games for Leipzig. When looking at those 5 further, it becomes clear that the 3 relating to torn muscle fibres actually concern one injury that kept Konate sidelined for a year. This means the centre-back has only been sidelined with 3 injuries since moving to Leipzig in 2017. One is an inconsequential knock, one is a very serious injury, keeping him out for a year, one is a 7-week ankle injury, fairly serious, but also pretty common, which is true, and that's not just centre-backs, that is pretty much anyone here, there, or everywhere up and above the pitch. It doesn't really matter, people do get, ankle injuries quite often. Nothing that actually screams that Konate is injury prone. When plotting Konate's injury score for 4 seasons he has been at Leipzig, we can see that 2019-20 was a particularly bad season because of this serious year-long injury. His score is comparable to Van Dijk and Gomez for Liverpool this season. Obviously, they've picked up long-term injuries. Van Dijk, this is his first long-term injury that I know of, that I can remember anyway. So yeah, that's very comparable there. Meanwhile, his 2021 season has been affected by coming back from the serious injury suffered last season and an unrelated 7-week ankle injury picked up 2 months later. It's comparable to the injury scores of Thiago and Oxlade-Chamberlain for Liverpool this season. So, what does this mean? I'm not sure saying Konate is injury prone is really accurate, to be honest. Yes, he's suffered a few injuries, every player does, and one was particularly serious, but there's nothing in his record to suggest that injuries will be a guaranteed problem. Liverpool's problem this season was not their centre-backs are injury prone, it was the fact that all of their centre-backs got serious injuries in the same year. It's pretty stinking bad luck, but it shouldn't make the club overly cautious with their recruitment. Players get injuries and some are unfortunate to get really serious ones. If clubs only bought players with injury-free records, then the pool of players to choose from would be minuscule, very, very small. Konate's ceiling and ability certainly appears to outweigh his injury risk. End the thread there. And that is where the thread ends as well. What that tells me and what that gives me is a bit more confidence when we actually look at Konate. Because my first thought, as I said to you just before, my first thought was, oh my god, this guy has a bad injury record. But when you look at it like that thread and the way that that thread is put together, looking at the different injuries that he's had, actually makes a lot more sense. Seems to have had one very serious injury, kept out for over a year, or a year at least, coming back from that injury and picked up a 7-week ankle injury as well alongside that. And that actually plays into a little bit where I was really confused and I genuinely thought that he was injured when we played Leipzig in the Champions League. And I remember in my mind that I was like, hang on, I'm pretty sure he was on the bench. And he was. He was on the bench. Alright, I haven't actually done this properly, this screen. But that's us, Liverpool. They were facing us, Liverpool. He's on the bench. I didn't understand why. At that point, why was he not playing? Well, I don't know. And their centre backs were struggling with us. But I think a solid centre back partnership for Leipzig has been, or in some ways, genuinely, I don't know everything about Leipzig, so I'm just guessing a little bit. But I imagine a lot of it has been having Upamecano and Konate in that centre-back partnership, or centre-back 3, depending on how they were playing their system, what system they were playing. So, I didn't understand why he was just on the bench. He obviously wasn't injured during this time either. So, it fills me with a bit more confidence that maybe, I should still have faith in Liverpool and signing players. And it's exactly right what she says, in that Liverpool should now not be overly cautious because of people with poor injury records, or what look like on the face of it terrible injury records. It's not like we're dealing with like a Daniel Sturridge level of injury record here by the looks of it as well. So that makes me a little bit more confident. It really, really does. It does give me a bit more confidence anyway. And I just want to have a look back at the profile of Konate as well, because this is a little bit left field in my opinion. Like, and that's just my opinion. I didn't see Liverpool being, because obviously the big link from RB Leipzig for all teams in Europe at the moment is Upamecano. Well, that obviously got, he went to Bayern Munich. That was the big one. That was the big name. Manchester United were in for Upamecano. Could have been anybody else. Liverpool should have been looking at him. All that sort of business. He's going to Bayern Munich at the end of the season. It is what it is. Now, he's only made 9 appearances this season. Scored 1 goal. Decent. Love it. His obviously main positions as centre back, left or right, which is decent that he could play either. I'm not entirely sure what side is his most preferred side, but even so, whatever. Play where you like, mate. Honestly, play where you like. Not entirely sure what I'm looking for here, to be honest with you. But he played 28 times for RB Leipzig in that season. Not sure where they finished in this season, to be honest with you. But he played a lot of games, 28 times. Not in the squad, on the bench. That season, it looks like he had 1 injury, which was, near the end of the season, I think. So that's not too bad at all, by the looks of it. Look, honestly, the ceiling for this guy seems to be quite high. Like, seems to have a very good, I'll say it again, like a good ceiling. At 21 years old, of being able to progress into a very, very good centre-back, if not a world-class level centre-back. I'm very cautious about using the word world-class, because world-class gets thrown around so much. It really, really does. And it's really, I personally want to rein that in myself, because it puts a hell of a lot of expectation on a player. All I would like Liverpool to do is go out and do their business sensibly. Go out and do the business that they always generally do. They pick up good players for a good price, people that need developing, but they have a good solid foundation as well. That seems to be what Konate has. People are talking online at the moment that, Konate over Kabak. We can't really talk about that, to be honest, because in my opinion, I think that Kabak is gonna be a brilliant centre back. I do. Whether he gets to a world class level, what is a world class level? Virgil van Dijk is world class level. World class level. That's a very, very high level. To achieve that, needs to be in the right environment. I think that Kabak could get there, possibly, at Liverpool. I really, really do. Not saying he can't get there anywhere else, but he'd been at a very difficult club at Schalke that were going through, and are going through, a very difficult time. The chance for development and success in that team was going to be very, very slim. Konate, on the other hand, has been playing in Leipzig, who play a very, very good brand of football. A brand of football that when we are on form, it's not too dissimilar. They possibly move the ball about a little bit better than us, a bit quicker. But in general, it's about the high line, the pressing of the high line as well. And for someone like him, he would be accustomed to that way of playing. All of these things tick boxes for me personally, because it seems that he would be similar to the way that we would play, which would mean integration into the way that we play quicker. And it also means that we have good quality squad depth, because you can't forget about the likes of Joe Gomez. You then can't forget about Joel Matip, and obviously Virgil van Dijk as well. So the conversation then becomes about, what do Liverpool do in terms of recruiting centre-backs in general? Is it Konate or nothing? Is it Kabak or nothing as a permanent signing for Liverpool? Or both? A debate that the Redmen TV put out, or a poll that they put out on Twitter, was, if you've chosen both Konate and Kabak to join Liverpool, what do we do about Joel Matip? In my opinion, I was of the opinion to sell Joel Matip, to move him on. I think that his time at Liverpool is done in some ways. However, we've seen the catastrophic injury record that we had this season that makes a lot of us think every centre-back that we have, we need to keep them. Need to keep them all. So you could end up with a situation where you've got Virgil van Dijk, Nat Phillips, Joe Gomez, Ibrahima Konate, Kabak, Joel Matip. To have 6 centre-backs, right, of differing qualities, yes, and starting qualities, yes, that's fair enough. Obviously, out of those, Joel Matip isn't going to be starting. Kabak may start in different competitions because of his age. Got a lot of time to develop. Konate's been a regular starter for RB Leipzig. Probably wouldn't want to drop down to not being being in a squad rotation. What happens to Joe Gomez? Because Nat Phillips has come in and put a stamp on a position right now that Joe Gomez probably isn't going to walk back into. Virgil van Dijk will walk back into his position. What then happens to the centre-back position for Liverpool? For me, I'm selfish. Keep them all. If you're going to get rid of one, unfortunately I would have to say, be Joel Matip. Because Joel Matip is too injury prone. You get maybe 3 or 4 games out of him and then he's back out with an injury. Sometimes not even then. I think this season, he got injured, came back, played about 2 games, and then he was out for the season. It's that type of thing that we can't really be, that's bad, in my opinion. When you're in and out, in and out, in and out all the time. It was just such a fact that we obviously had so many injuries at centre back this season. As God, what was the Twitter name for that person? Anna Woodbury says it was just the fact that we had so many of our centre backs injured all season, this season, that it all just happened at once. Now we're all a little bit on edge about what we should be doing in terms of centre-backs. Normally you'd be like, right, what we could do is you could move on Joel Matip, maybe move on another centre-back, send one out on loan, which if we're going to loan a centre-back out anywhere, Reece Williams, definitely that lad needs game time at a higher level, because I think he could also be another good level centre-back as well. Konate would be class, I think. I think Konate is... For the price, when it says 40 million euros, that to me equates to about between 33 to 37 million pounds. I think that that's a very, very good deal. I do. I think that would be a very good deal, and it also helps us reinforce not a weak area, but an area that didn't have the depth that you need when you want to be competing on all the fronts that we want to be competing on. The Premier League, the Champions League, and then even like the FA Cup and such like that. That is obviously something that gets levelled at Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp, is that we don't compete very much in our domestic cups. But to compete on all those fronts and to do it at a consistent level, we use the comparison, and it's a very good comparison because the way they've built their squad, whether you like it or not, and the amount of money that they've spent, regardless of any of that, you look at the squad depth of a Manchester City, it's ridiculous. Every team would love to have that level of squad depth. This could be a way of building it at the back. It really, really could be. I think he'd be a quality signing. I'll be the first to admit, though, I haven't seen a great deal of him with my own 2 eyes. So using stats and such like that, it's irrelevant to me, because stats are irrelevant without the backup of the eye test. The eyes tell you everything you need to know. Reading stats are so misleading that it can make the most average player look good in some ways if you look at certain games. But the eye test never lies. And I have not seen enough of Konate with my own 2 eyes that I can't give you an opinion on his play style. I don't know what his short passing's like. I don't know what his long passing's like. Can he cross the ball? Can he do great big long pinged balls out to Salah or something like that? What's he like when it gets to close quarters, stand tackles, slide tackles? Is he too committed to a slide tackle? Is he more prone to staying on his feet and trying to tackle for the ball there? Has he got good pace, recovery pace, all that sort of things? I don't know. But I think from what pretty much everybody else says is go for it, because in terms of players of that level, of that quality, and his age, and the amount of years that he would have left to develop, and also the longevity in terms of maybe in a couple of years, maybe 3, 4, 5 years or something like that, when it comes to turning over some of the team at Liverpool, he could be right there in his prime years at 25, 26, something like that. and be very fully developed, very fully integrated into that, and in his prime years at Liverpool, could then have another 4 or 5 years, depending on how we're doing in terms of success and all that sort of business. You know, it'd be, for me, I think it's a no-brainer, and especially for that fee, if it is an accurate fee of 40 million euros, between 33 to 37 million pounds, in my opinion. I'm not a currency expert. I think it's a no-brainer. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. If you made it all this way, please do feel free to leave a comment and a like on this video if you please. Let me know what your thoughts are as well. Anybody out there that has watched Konate, please let me know exactly what he's like. Tell me everything that you know. I'd love to read it. I appreciate your comments when you do leave them like that, and it helps me learn as well. I also want to go and check out, not highlights, I want to see full games of Konate as well, and I'm going to try and track some down today, maybe do a follow-up video to this one as well. But for now, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. I do appreciate every single one of you that does. Do take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you later.